This meeting is being recorded.
All right, y'all, love them or hate them, sparklers are worth a conversation, okay? So welcome back to another episode of the Refined Podcast, where we are going to talk about sparklers and the nuance around them. Like I said, love them or hate them, right? Okay, so I think there's some important, this is our agenda today. We're gonna talk about teamwork and how this is not something that needs to just fall on a planner. We're gonna talk about safety and client education, a formal process, a fee structure, and market cohesion. Okay, so let's start with the teamwork side of this. All too often, I find and see this fall on the planner. And fine and fair, I definitely think the planner needs to be the one leading it, facilitating it, making sure that all the components and safety, like the safety components and all of that are involved, or the venue, one or the other, okay? Your team needs to decide what that is. But I do think overall it's a team effort, okay? So if the venue's doing it, the planner's not over here doing something else. If the planner's doing it, the venue manager's not over here doing something else. I want everyone involved. I think the photographer needs to have say in all of this too, the best positioning, where, what's going to happen with smoke as far as lighting and all of that goes. Because here's the deal. Sparklers are so dumb, in my opinion. Like, they're just, oh my gosh, I would do anything to just ban sparklers in our industry. We've got, these beautiful Pinterest images of sparkler exits, and I get it. They're so gorgeous. But of all the weddings I've ever done, like maybe 2 of them have beautiful sparkler exits because in their photos, because you've got all of a half a second to just capture that. And people stand this way and you can't control it and you can't pose it and stage it and there's smoke and it's just hard to capture, right? So your chances of getting that Pinterest picture are slim, right? Doesn't mean it can't happen. No matter how great of a photographer you are though, that's a slim thing. So I don't think it's worth the dangers and the risks. I just don't. But from what I hear and what I know as far as surveying goes, couples will not book a venue based on whether if they don't allow sparklers, they'll move to the next venue. Like that is one of the deal breakers, oddly enough, interestingly enough. Okay, so if these are here to stay, then we need to talk about teamwork. This is a team effort. This is not a one person's doing it. This is not just the planner and their associate doing it. Everyone needs to be involved. This is a long line of people holding fire under the influence of alcohol and who knows what else they brought in to the venue, okay? So we need people spaced out. We need proper tools to make this safe. We need buckets. We need more than one. We need different locations for that. We need to communicate very clearly to the guests what this is going to entail. It's not below me to have a megaphone. Our team had little megaphones and we would get out there, hey, everyone line up. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how it's going to happen. When we are finished, you are going to put your sparkler in the bucket, not on the ground. Repeat after me. Where does the sparkler go? The bucket. Okay. And I tell them, we're going to have fun with this. But as soon as I see an issue, I'm coming at you. And I tell couples that in advance. I say, hey, listen, sparklers is not when I'm going to be nice. My nice hat goes off real fast with sparklers. And you need to know if a guest or an aunt or someone else comes to you after the fact and is like, your wedding planner was a real peach. I'm gonna let you know right now, great. It means I did my job and someone didn't get hurt or burned or dress ruined or whatever. So you can say, yeah, she was taking care of the situation the way she said she would. Okay. So you're going to educate your client on all of those things and why safety matters. You're going to have the buckets. You're going to require them to bring all this stuff. Why should you be paying for it? You can if you want, whatever. You can have your own little service. I think there's benefit and value to having a sparkler service. Okay. So you're going to bring the buckets. You're going to make sure that they get the right kind of sparklers. Okay. So you know what those are. Get the long ones. Have a propane lighter, like a torch kind of thing going on. You can grab those at local hardware stores and Amazon, all of that. They're so much easier to light than when you have lighters, okay? And tell the guests with your megaphone thing like, hey, look, they light easier off of each other. I'm going to light a couple. It's going to go down the road. Please do not pull out your lighters or whatever. You got to keep it brief. But if you have a torch or two, you can get those sparklers lit pretty quick. So you're not like having this phase of like half of them are burning out while some are just starting and all of that, right? Okay. Again, I just think this comes down to really making sure the couple knows what's going to happen, how urgent it is, that you're like assertive, even maybe aggressive voice is going to come out in this, and that like that's your take it or leave it. You know, like you could do sparklers if, but this is in my contract. These are your requirements. If you can't follow that, then we're not doing them. Okay. Sparklers are not set out where guests can access them. So tell them, don't get those cute little chalkboards with sparkler exit at 10:30 p.m. and cute little graphics and all that stuff with your little galvanized bucket of sparklers for them to grab. Don't do it. Whoever's in charge of sparklers will pass those out when that person is good, well, and ready, right? Okay, so make sure that those stay in the back. And during open dance is when I start to open those. And I get those ready to pass out at the end of the night. At the end of the night, I turn those lights on in that venue and I say, it's time to go. That is my cue. And if they do not move and I start passing, I walk through the guests and start passing the sparklers out and say, you're invited to join us for a sparkler exit. We're lighting up at the, and I just let them know. And then if they, and I, sometimes you have to approach them more than once because they're chit-chatting, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But if they continue to linger, I go back to that light switch and I click it on and off a couple times as one more cue of like, let's go, people. And that tends to help and work. But it's really hard to get people out. But those sparkler exits require some specific timing, and we want to make sure that the couple is ready for it before we light anything. Do not light a single sparkler until you know your couple is on the other side of that door ready to run down. Do not light a single sparkler until you know your photographer is in place and ready to go. Do not light a single sparkler until you know that your exit car or shuttle or bus or whatever it is in place and ready to go. Got it? Okay. I think that really covers the formal process in having sparklers. I think as far as like on the day in action. On paperwork, I write all of this stuff down. I let them know what tools they need, what sparklers they need, the length of them, how I'm going to educate their guests, what's going to happen if something goes awry. And then I let them know that there's a fee for sparklers. My contract does not allow sparklers. It is listed in my excluded services, okay? They may then upgrade to a sparkler package. They may add a sparkler package, and it is $250 because I know full and well those sparklers will be all over the ground by the end of the night, but no matter what I say on that megaphone, right? And really and truly, with this process, it's not as bad, right? But you're gonna find some sparklers here or there. And it's dark, so I got to walk around with my flashlight and make sure I find all of them. And I don't love that, but I'm going to do it. So I charge for that, and I charge for it because if you charge for it, you might have some that decide they're not going to do it, right? Because they got to buy the sparklers, all the stuff, and pay me the fee, as opposed to just going and buying bubbles or whatever else, streamers or something like that. So have a good blog, have a good one pager or whatever it is with alternative exits. Okay, when you list that fee, so that they know that there are other options, and maybe those are other options that you most prefer, right? Give them those options and show them pictures and educate them on hey, look, don't expect that Pinterest perfect picture. It can happen. You might be the ones that get it. Do not set your heart on it. Just let them know that up front, and have that fee in there. If they want to do it, great. And then you might even have, I didn't do this. I felt like this process really did kind of tie it in a bow and made some things a little safer. But I also found in my market that everyone did work well as a team together. So we had a lot of hands out there helping. But if you're in a spot where maybe there's not as much teamwork, you might even have a damage fee or like something where there's an added fee at the end of the night if more has to go into that. You get to decide what that looks like. But as a whole, I think also, I'll wrap up with this, market cohesion can go a long way, okay? So in my market, a handful of years ago, so all of us are fed up with it. We're just so done with sparklers. And if you're newer to this industry, you're newer to this job, and maybe you're not as familiar as to why, maybe you haven't done a sparkler exit yet or haven't done enough of them to see, it only takes 2 or 3 before you're like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. But maybe your first one just was fine. You had a cooperative guest and whatnot. Sprinklers are tricky and challenging because like I said, you've got guests under the influence waving around fire, and they light them at all different times, and they have their own, my husband, I remember one time we were at a wedding, we were guests, because that rarely happens as a planner. I'm always booked, and the ding dong goes outside with everybody and their sparklers, and he finds a candle and lights a sparkler. And I was like, you are the problem. Stop. You're married to a wedding planner. Stop. But again, he had been drinking and he was just having fun, and he still knew better. So, there's lots of stories and images that have gone around where lots of burns, hands. There's been some where people have handfuls of them and they explode. And everyone at weddings have got lots of flammable chemicals on, perfumes, hairspray, mousse, all of that in their hair. And then you've got this big poofy dress in a lot of cases, walking down in the middle of fire. Like, there's just so much that can go wrong. I also had in my contract if we're doing this, if we're adding it, I had a fee for, look at my hair. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, or you've seen a picture of me, I have a lot of hair, okay? And if you burn my hair and I have to go cut it off, I am not happy. And I don't want to pay for any of that either. So you're going to pay for my hair makeover or whatever it is that you've damaged. You're going to pay for my clothes that you've burned a hole in, or any of that, okay? So I got off on a rabbit trail there. Wanted to make sure those of you that have not done sparklers or only done them ever so briefly have a real understanding of the risks. Okay, you can also burn properties. Dry grass is an issue. Do not do this in dry areas. Do not do it, okay? This is how wildfires start, okay? And take that very, very seriously, because you will be on the news. Market cohesion is where I started this rabbit trail. Market cohesion is really important, and it's something that when in our market, we were all fed up with it. I sent a survey out to like 500 wedding pros in our local. I sent it out to venues, photographers, and planners specifically. And I said, what's your opinion? Are you willing to ban venues? Are you willing to ban it? Or everyone as a whole, are you willing to implement, this is the process, this is the fee, these are the safety guidelines, and can we as a market get on the same page so that we stop getting as much pushback from our couples? And it's just kind of like, nope, this is how it is in our market. So be a leader, be a thought leader on that, and send out a survey and get that going in your community. And I will tell you that when I sent that out, I was on a mission to ban sparklers, and I was done, and I thought it was going to happen, and just, and it turns out it didn't happen because the couples want them so much that venues really said, hey, look, they're pushing so hard on this. This is a deal breaker. I don't think it's something that I can ban, but I do want to put some firm parameters in place. And a lot of the venues ended up purchasing the tools necessary to keep it safe. And like I said, we would have little megaphones and buckets ourselves, but you just can't, you can require couples to do that, but just like any other emergency kit, are they going to show up with it or not, right? So make sure you have that stuff. Make sure that you talk to those in your market and get on the same page. There's so much movement and progress that can be done with this. Sparklers are beautiful. They are fun, but there's a lot of safety to consider. All right, I hope this was helpful. If it was, like, share, leave a review, tell a friend, use it as you maybe spread the word in your market and try to get on the same page. Share the link and let us know what you think. Send me some questions. Happy to answer those anytime, and I will catch you next week. Bye.